and welcome back to another episode of the Who Are You to Lead Anyway podcast. I am your host, Cynthia Jameson, and today I am thrilled to introduce a remarkable guest and former client who will take us on a journey that is bound to captivate your heart and inspire your soul. In this episode, we have the privilege of hearing the story of a young woman whose experiences are nothing short of transformative. Her name is Amber, and her journey is a testament to the incredible power of choice, self-discovery, and personal growth. Amber's story is not just compelling, it's relatable to so many of us who have grappled with self-confidence, the choices we make, and the people we surround ourselves with. Her path to self-discovery is a beacon of hope and resilience, and it's a story that will resonate with you on many levels. So whether you're seeking inspiration to navigate life's challenges or simply looking for a powerful reminder of the strength we all hold within us, you will love what she has to say. Amber's journey is a reminder that no matter where you are in life, the power to choose your path and discover your true self is always within your grasp. In our conversation, we dive into her experiences, insights, and the lessons she's learned along the way. Amber's story will leave you feeling inspired, motivated, and ready to embrace your own journey to personal growth. So without further ado, let's get started. So for everyone listening, I just want to introduce my very special guest today. Amber is one of my former clients that I had the joy and the privilege to work with, and I am so grateful that she has agreed to join me here today. I just appreciate her so much, and she has also now taken the very esteemed position of my friend. So welcome, Amber. Thank you so much for joining me. Is there anything that you would like to add to the introduction that I have given for you?
No, I think that's good. I mean, I guess we could deep dive into a little background on who I am a little more and what I do. So, I met you through work as an HR assistant, which I've been doing for quite some time now. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't know.
That's where we met. And if I could just invite you to just kind of think back for a moment and think about when we first started working together and in this beautiful space and place that you are in your life currently, just kind of take our listeners on a little bit of a journey, a little bit of reflection.
Alrighty. Yeah. So we started working together back in 2019. Feels like forever ago. And I was a much different person then as well. But yeah, so I honestly, I've been trying to think of how I even got on the path of obtaining a mentor. And I can't remember if it was just, we started the program through work and I was just like, okay, maybe I'll sign up. Or I feel like it might have been a manager who was like, why don't you get a mentor? And then I was like, yeah, sure. I feel like that's what it was. I genuinely can't remember. That's how long ago it was. And then I got paired with you, which was so amazing. And then we ended up working together for an additional 3 years. I believe, yeah, I think that's what we said. It was
Yeah.
3 years. Yeah.
We did. And I remember a little bit about that as well, because for the people that are listening, we did have a mentor mentee program that we were just launching. And of course, people had the ability to kind of put their name forward for that. And both of us did that. So I wanted to be a mentor and you were looking for a mentor and I wanted a mentee. And we started there. And also then, because I was going through my coaching journey and I was looking for people to support them in their coaching journey. And I do recall that early on, we did like a mix. We would do like a mentor hour one week and we would do a coaching hour the next. And that evolved over time. And we just spent a lot of time together. And I'm curious if you would, if I were to ask you to think about what are the skills and insights that you feel that you have learned along your own coaching journey?
Oh goodness. I feel like the first thing that comes to mind when I think of my overall coaching journey, especially with you, was just the word choices.
Just the word choices.
Yeah, how often I would come to you with something and you would be like, well, what are your choices? And that has stuck with me ever since then of okay, what are my choices? Which way can I go? And it just helps that problem solving. And then I think also looking back, throughout that time, I think I leaned more towards the coaching side opposed to the mentor side because I was given homework. I really liked doing that deep dive into myself and thinking about things differently. There was worksheets, I think we were meeting
Mm-hmm.
on a bi-weekly basis, and we would go over a new worksheet, and then I think I was just kind of running through all the programs that you had to offer me. And I think it really helped me evolve in who I was, because I came to you, I would say almost as a very mousy girl who was like very introverted, was very to myself. And that's kind of what ignited my journey into, on a more personal note, into therapy. Was I was noticing that I was not going as far as I knew I could.
Mm.
And so I continued to try and self-discover and find different avenues to better myself and to be more than what I was. And not that I was anything less, or, not, I think I was just very young and I didn't know what my choices were. Um, so yeah, I think, yeah, that's kind of, what I learned through coaching. And like I said, the homework. And there was one point where you and I had even looked at, I can't remember what the assignment was, but it involved arts and crafts, and I did a tree because I wanted to be a tree. I wanted to grow like a tree, and I had this vision of who I wanted to be. And then there was kind of the shadow self of that. And that was, I drew a box where I very much felt like I was in a box. And it was gray and dark and all the things negative,
Yes.
basically. Yeah.
Well, so I remember the exercise, and it's one that I do it in a different way today, but what that was about was just exploring this notion of like the inner critic and the inner
Yes.
ally,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
so one of the things that I really love about what you're talking about here is about choices, because I think so oftentimes we don't see that we have choices.
Hmm.
And even not making a choice is a choice.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I would say about you is just the amount of potential that I could see within you to just discover who you were and to be able to shine and really step into that tree, embody that, like putting your branches out, reaching for more,
Hmm.
just standing there in the oneness of who you are was something that I thought was remarkable to witness.
I mean, I feel like even still, like that's a difficult thing to internalize. Like I think that I will always want more, right? Like it's like there's still more work. Like, because even when you asked me to be on this podcast, I'm like, well, this is for leaders. I'm not I'm not a leader. I'm just, as I said at the beginning, an HR assistant. And I think even at the beginning I said that with very little confidence in what that means, but to kind of bring that confidence to it and to see how far I've come, I'm incredibly proud of myself. Because like I said, I came to you and I was very quiet, very, just to myself, head down, which, obviously there's not a problem with that, but I wasn't helping myself evolve. I wasn't stepping out of my comfort zone in any way. And then working with you, honestly, really helped that, right? I started taking more opportunities. I started looking at things differently, and I started calling on myself more, or asking to be called on more to present, or, be front facing. Um,
So I want to go back to something that you said when I invited you to be on this podcast, and you're saying, well, I don't see myself as a leader, because it's interesting, because there's this notion of like self leadership,
mhm,
right? How I lead myself through this life that I'm living, and how I'm choosing to show up.
yeah.
So I actually would say that you absolutely are a leader. And I'm just going
Perfect.
to let that wash over you for a moment.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about like, because I know that the choices that that you chose for yourself, putting yourself forward, at times brought some discomfort for you.
Hmm.
And so would you share a little bit about like some of the challenges that you faced just because you knew you had this desire within you to grow and to evolve? And of course, the moment that our beautiful brains, it rebels for us.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, I want this, but but who am I to do that?
Yes. Yes. And I think that is something also that we worked a lot on was, or things that you would say to me, what's stopping you type of thing. And I'd be like, oh, well, it's me. At the end of the day, it was always me. I think that actually my obstacle was deep rooted. And I'll kind of take us back to when I was in college. I actually started out in marketing and I got into my second semester of marketing and I had an entire course based on presentations. Well, didn't I hightail it out of that program and jumped in to the next program? And not knowing though that that would be the most fulfilling program to me. And, just speaking of divine timing and things that were meant to happen. And because I'm incredibly grateful that I ended up where I did. But that is where that ended up not realizing that being in HR, I would also then need to present and be very front facing and work with people. you know the decisions you make when you're young and not being fully aware either. So on I went, avoiding presenting, avoiding being the center of attention. And I remember starting my job, and it took me on a roller coaster of a journey. And I think that that was the first obstacle that shaped me, was working for a company that wasn't in my home community and having that exposure and really wanting to take advantage of the opportunity that I was gifted with.
Mhm.
And so I found myself challenging myself in different ways. I thought I was struggling with social anxiety because I had never been in that type of atmosphere before, so I was very nervous. And I wasn't sure what was going on because normally I was pretty outgoing with the right people, being more introverted, but I kept trying to dig deeper, trying to, accessing different avenues. Like I said, therapy, going that route. Okay, well, what is going on with me, and how can I help myself be better? Then you and I came together, and I came to, just honestly, very low confidence, I would say. And I think that's natural when you're in your early 20s, mid
Mhm.
20s. Not everybody is born that way. But I definitely was not. And I started to say, well, okay, well, I want to work on this area, which again was that presenting because it was coming back to me. And it's like, I need to, like, I was nervous to speak in a team meeting. Like that's where I was
Mhm.
at. So then, we worked on that. And, I've also been very fortunate to have a lot of really strong female leaders in my life. And that dates back to, my very first job. And, I went to my leader at that time and I was like, I want more opportunities to present. And all of a sudden I was being thrown into all these different things. And I just kept taking those opportunities and doing it as much as I possibly could. And one thing that stuck out for me was, I believe it was Mel Robbins that had kind of coined this, and you passed it along to me, was, when you're feeling that fear and that anxiety, tell yourself it's excitement because they are
Yes.
one and the same. So I still do that where I'm like, I'm so excited to do this. And it does change the energy a lot. So, yeah.
It does. It absolutely does change the energy a lot. And I want to go back to something that you said because I'm curious what you would think now. So when you were talking
Mhm.
about like having a low confidence, I think that is fairly typical for a lot of people,
Mhm.
depending on the circumstances they're in. And one
Mhm.
of the things that I think I heard you say was, it's pretty common for us not to have it. And just
Mhm.
imagine for a second, because you have children around you. I know you don't have
Mhm.
any of your own at this point.
Yep.
However, when you see children, It's
Mhm.
fascinating to me. And now having grandchildren, I have a couple of two-year-old grandchildren, and they have all of the confidence in the world,
Yeah.
aka no fear.
Yes.
They're not afraid of anything. And yet, as a human, I feel like we lose that somewhere along the
Mhm.
way. What are your thoughts on that?
I absolutely agree. I remember I was very vocal as a child. I was very confident, you know. I think I told you recently about a story about how my mom used to just let me dress myself as a little girl. And even though I was her first child and she was quite young, she would just kind of let it go, and she completely allowed me to be myself. And I think there is a pivotal time that happens in anybody's life, and it's typically that kind of preteen years, high school years, that you start to almost want to follow everybody else. And I think, I
Mm.
mean, I can't speak for everybody. I don't know when it happens for everyone, but I feel like that's what happened to me. I think I stopped trying to be that unique version of myself, that authentic version of who I was, that little girl that loved to dress herself, and then trying to be so many different things for so many different people, I think lowered my my self-confidence, my view of my value, because I was trying to fit into that box, right?
Yes.
Being that self-critic, oh, well, you're not this enough, or you're not that enough, or you're not like them enough. And it started to bog me down. And then I think I was doing a lot of different things in my life to try and fit in. And even though I knew internally that they were not the right things, and I think when I really started to see that shift in myself was, again, working with you career wise, that really helped me elevate myself and helped me be happy in my workplace and with myself as a human being in the workplace. And then again, therapy really helped me with everything. And then I had a really life-changing moment where I had a colleague say, "Hey, do you want to do I can't remember what it's called. It changed my life and I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called dry Feb. It's for like cancer awareness." And I was like, "Sure, why not?" And the month went by and I was like, "You know what? I actually really like how I feel." And again, that skyrocketed my development, my self love, my self confidence, everything. Finally had an opportunity to really self discover and go internal and think of all the things that I appreciate about myself and love about myself. And I think I was probably 27 at the time. So, I don't know if that would have changed or not without that. I can't say because, it could have also just been an age thing. It could have been a maturity thing. So who knows? But I think those are three contributing factors that helped me regain that self confidence. And I think that overall people can develop self confidence again if, they do that work and they, really look at themselves and just recognize that we're all human beings. We are all just trying to do our best. I think we hear that a lot these days of just enjoying that uniqueness of who you are as an individual.
Yes. And I love that. And I want to just kind of peel back a few layers there because it's been my experience both, as my own personal experience, my own journey along the way,
Mm.
where I too was trying to fit into what like was expected of me by other people.
Mhm.
And also I see that so often in working with the leaders that I coach today. And what I'm hearing you say is, and I know this just from your being your coach for so long, but it was like when you were able to kind of stop doing that or see that you were doing that and make a different choice to step into the authenticity of who you are and what
Mhm.
you value, that's when things started to shift and change for you.
Yes, 100%. And I would almost call it what like a selfish love of just like I'm focusing entirely on me. I'm going to live for me. Um, and we just need to do that sometimes and not in a harmful way of, like saying no to the big things and like avoiding people and shutting out and shutting down. But I think really saying no to things that aren't serving. you as a whole. And I think at points too, unfortunately, saying goodbye to people that aren't serving you as well.
Mm. And those are some pretty tough choices to make.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But, I think it's worth it in the end. And I feel like I want to go back to that of like serving people. Not that people need to serve you, but, people that fill your cup.
Yes.
Surround yourself with people that fill your cup, that make you feel better, that push you forward, right? Help you advance to that next level and that you can learn from.
Yes. I can't recall who it is that has coined, kind of this term of, you are the result of the five people you spend the most of your
Mhm.
time with. And I think it's just a testament to you choosing you to be
Mhm.
able to be in a relationship with yourself where it's authentic, it's it's valuable to you. And sometimes those choices are really hard to make.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, thinking about those five people that you surround yourself with, like I feel like also in turn, how do you help elevate those people too, right? If they want to, right? If they're
Yes.
people that you don't want to lose and they're people that you love, how do you help them elevate without making them feel like you're putting them in a box and you're trying to change who they are? Because everybody has value in this world, right? Everybody has a different experience and can teach you something. So, if you want those people to come with you, how do you help them come on the journey too? And and again, not saying that anybody needs to change in order to feed into your life, but it is really removing those kind of toxic sort of relationships that don't fulfill you, but maintain the ones that still fill your cup. But maybe you're evolving past people. I don't know. I have a friend, and she actually said, I have this really great friend, and but she's always late. And
Mm.
but you know what? And that really ticks me off. But you know what? She's still a really great friend. So I'm gonna keep her.
And we're back to choice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and so I would love to hear from you just your advice or wisdom in, if you see those people and you want to invite them along in the journey, what would you say
Mhm.
to them? How do you do it?
Honestly, I don't like again, like I'm not that it would be confrontational by any means, but I think I just continue to do my own thing. And
Mm.
the people that want to join me in that journey, I give them the choice to join me in that journey, right? And um yeah, if you want to come for a hike with me, or if you want to go to yoga with me, or if you because like again, going back to my sobriety, that was one thing that I found challenging. Well, I shouldn't say challenging, but I think I found it personally difficult to maintain relationships that were outside of drinking. And I think I also just didn't know how to do that because that's what I thought everything revolved around. So I think I really internalized that. And I was like, well, what do we do? I don't know how to socialize anymore. um, so yeah, I think it came down to me, asking people to do different things and giving myself different opportunities and realizing that it was okay for me to make different choices than my friends, but because I still love them, I wanted to still be surrounded by them,
Yes, of
even though I
course.
wasn't doing what they were doing. Yeah.
And it's kind of figuring out how to manage oneself in a different set of circumstances,
Hmm.
which is, of course, the irony in that is that we end up doing that every day.
Yes.
If the pandemic has taught us anything, right? It's that
Yeah.
circumstances continually change and how we
Hmm.
how we adapt and flex to that
Hmm.
is just really it's really key to what
Yeah.
the experience is that we're having along the way.
Hmm.
When you
Yeah.
think about your journey, what do you think was the most, I guess, either pivotal or was there something that kept coming back to you that, was kind of like the lesson that you continued to have to learn?
Oh my goodness. I feel like my life has just been filled with lessons. And they continue to be filled with lessons, whether I can see them or not. I'm trying to really think
That's
of.
beautiful. I guess is there one that's kind of one that was either maybe you were avoiding it or pushing against it, or was there one that was more kind of propelled you forward more so than the others?
Well, see, I feel like I already touched on it because I think it really was like that introvertedness or not introvertedness because that's completely fine, but like the more not taking risks, not taking
Mm.
opportunities, not taking control of my own life, I think was a common theme for me for a long time of, letting other people make choices for me. And I think obviously that starts with a lot of people likely very young. Your parents are telling you what to do, and then we touched on that high school phase, and not that anybody is really telling you what to do, but there are trends that you're trying to follow, there's things that you're trying to do and follow. And I think that I was always trying to put myself in a box. I was always trying to control how the outside world viewed me. And I think, yeah, that just continued to be a lesson until I started to be like, okay, I'm going to start living for me again. And how do I do that? And how do I not let outside factors kind of sway my life, whether that be family or just drama even sometimes, as as things can happen. And um yeah, I think like a lot of things that helped me were, you know, finding myself more on a spiritual journey, a self-discovery journey. Um, yeah.
It's interesting. One of the things that I'm thinking about as I listen to you respond to that is like this notion of seeking validation or approval or trying to meet expectations or thinking about others' perception of us. Like
Mhm.
all of those things that are quote unquote outside of ourselves.
Mhm.
It's so much the journey that we go on when that is what we're measuring ourselves against is
Mhm.
so different than when we're able to really lean into like what are the things that are really incredibly valuable and important to me? What are the values that I have?
Yeah.
What is it, who do I want to surround myself with? It just changes the experience.
Mhm.
And I'm curious if for you, you would have any wisdom for listeners as it relates to how did you specifically manage that?
Manage the feelings of validation
Yeah.
or like
Well,
like
yeah,
the
because you would see it, right? Like, and when I say
Mhm.
see it, I mean I know this because we did work on it, but when you
Mhm.
see that you want to please other people or you want to have them their perception, which you can't
Mhm.
ever control.
Yeah.
How did you
Yeah.
let go of that? I guess another way of asking.
Honestly, I just did it. But to say that is like it it's obviously not that simple because like stuff like that is deep rooted. It's still something that I struggle with, and I kind of catch myself and I'm like, okay, I think I need to back up for a minute, and I need to pay attention to my body and what is it that I'm feeling, and having that awareness of feeling, and um just awareness of the overall, like you mentioned, values, right? Like who am I at my core? What boundaries do I have? What
Mhm.
conversations do I want to participate in? And, you know, if I'm trying to be validated by people, well, who are these people to me? And do are these people that I want to be around? And what like, you know, speaking of friends and people that fill your cup, people that fill my cup, I don't feel like I need to be validated by them. Like I
Mhm.
know that I can be my whole self with them. And, those are some of my greatest friends and the greatest people that I surround myself with. And so it's like when I'm starting to realize, oh, okay, like, am I saying yes because I want to say yes? Or am I saying yes because I'm trying to, create a narrative in someone else's mind about who I am? So yeah, I think it's just being aware of yourself.
Awareness is everything. And I just want to say, I have goosebumps for what you have just shared, because that in a nutshell is the journey. And
Mhm.
it's not easy. And I know I know this because I was there and I was able to
Mhm.
witness like not only the growth that you had and the challenges that you had, but how you stepped through that in such a beautiful way and just being true to yourself the entire time.
Yeah.
And it's just such a beautiful thing to see and an invitation for those that are listening to think about, how can you do that for yourself, right? Figuring out what is true for you, who are the people that are serving your, the goals that you have and who you want to become as an individual, as a leader, as an employee, as a parent, as all whatever role that
Mhm.
people are filling. And so I'm curious, Amber, is there any advice that you would have for listeners as it relates to coaching? And I'm going to give you this caveat or anything else.
Perfect. Um, I I mean, as I kind of thought about this process of this conversation, I started to think about things throughout my life, and I was kind of curious about, is there anything that I would have changed along my journey? Absolutely not. I would have made every single mistake the same exact way that I did, because it would mean that I would have ended up somewhere else. And I'm really happy with where I am. I'm happy with the people that I've met. I'm happy with the people that I surround myself with. And so, yeah, I think my advice to people is, yes, there are hard days and, you make mistakes and they feel like they could be life ending, but there's always, a way out. There is, you always have choices, you always have options, even when it feels like you don't. And, go to your people, talk to your people, have a strong support system to get you through those bad days. And when you are in the good days, just really soak that in and be grateful. Like, I think having a gratitude practice in your life, especially on those hard days, I know there's times where I'll just sit there and just list like 10 things. And, even I got a puppy recently. So it's like, and now I have two dogs, and it's like, oh my goodness, this is so crazy. And I'm like, okay, but, they're having fun. They love each other. And, it didn't end up as bad as I thought it was going to. I thought my bigger dog was going to hate the puppy. And like obviously that's a very minor instance of the things that can happen in life, right? you know but it is always, thinking of those good things. And there was a quote that I shared recently with you, and it was, you are who you are, I am who I am, and all in divine timing. And I was gifted that quote from a friend as she spoke at her wedding, and I just absolutely love it, and I hold it with me. She got it from, a random lady she sat next to on a plane, and I just think that's so beautiful. And so yes, everything happens in due time, really.
Mm, in due time. So, and I'm actually hearing like there is no misstep,
No, no.
right? There is no misstep. It's kind of, and I see this so often, and I do it myself sometimes, is, trying to find the
Hmm.
right choice, the best choice, etc.
Yeah.
And it could be that, or it also could be the choice that you make right for
Hmm.
you, because
Yep.
it's what feels good for you.
Yep.
And we can always make another choice next time,
Exactly.
right?
Ex-
There's never a time when we're out of choices until the
mm.
end, but we're not at
Yeah.
the end.
Exactly. And well, I think, well, we talked about the obstacles too. Sorry, that just as this happens, you and I
Yes,
get
it
in these
happens.
conversations of, like obstacles, right? I think again, I mentioned like I became very much enveloped in a deep spiritual kind of journey. And so on that journey is when you start to realize that divine timing and the obstacles. And it's like, okay, well, if all these obstacles are coming up, yes, what are they trying to teach me? What is happening here? And am I where I'm supposed to be? and really just being in tune with that side of things, whether you're a more logical person or, you are a more spiritual person, think of it in any way that suits you. I mean, I don't want to say I'm like woo woo, like, but I definitely do
There's
tend to
nothing
be
wrong
more
with a little bit
spiritual.
of woo.
Yeah, exactly. But I tend to lead to that more spiritual side, so I can't, give any advice on how to view it more logically, because to me I'm just like, okay, like, you know things just happen the way they happen, and I need to pay attention, and I need to try and seek out the answers in any way that I can as to why this is happening and why something keeps coming up for me, and just trying, like I said, just trying to find the answers as best as I can.
Well, you have you have, and you've probably heard me say this before, you have all of the answers within,
Mhm.
and you have the keys.
Mhm.
That's the thing that I would kind of highlight for everyone is we all have that place where we are all our own obstacle, right? I have this little quote behind me, and I actually don't know if you can see it or not. But it's a take on Rumi's, right? So as you start to walk, the way appears. What's in the way is the way.
Mhm.
If it's my fear, if it's the story I'm telling myself, whatever it is, it's when I work through that, that's the way through.
Yeah, I love that.
We create it all like within our minds.
Mhm.
Like what,
100%.
what we think about, we bring about. I can't remember who said that, but it's the same, like just having the mindset and just noticing how we show up based on how we're thinking and feeling. And then how when we can shift that energy, and you talked about that earlier, right? Like I can feel anxious about it, or I could feel excited about it.
Yep.
And how very different the experience is that you have when you make that intentional choice. I love this. I love this conversation so much. And Amber, I know that I want to give you the opportunity. Like, is there anything else? Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you're hoping that I would?
No, but I mean, as you kept talking, like all these things, they continue to flow to me of just like, even, when we had initially started talking about like my low self-confidence, it was an overall fear, right? Like you can really get in your own way if you let fear take control and let your brain take over. I had a friend tell me one time that you know, I was letting my brain control me. I wasn't in control of it. Like your brain is a very, very powerful thing if you let it, but you can also help guide it and help yourself and help yourself get over obstacles, help yourself accomplish and
Yes.
releasing that fear. So that was the only way. That's where my brain went after you continued to talk about the fear and stuff. So that's it. I think that's all I have to say now.
Well, now I have a thought that sparked from yours, but
Perfect.
we will wrap it up
Yeah.
because you're onto something here, and this is even like so we haven't worked together for a few years, and so I've
Mhm.
continued to just really lean into the work of coaching and just doing that all the time. That's what I do. It's what I think about. It's what I do all the time, and I know that our brains are they will do exactly what we tell it. So if
Mhm.
we tell it that we need to be afraid. That's, of course, what we will be doing. And so we have to
Mhm.
give it very clear and specific directions.
Yes.
And sometimes there's like reframing situations from, I'm not enough to do this, smart enough, good enough, talented enough, etc., to I absolutely am more than enough to be able to do
Mhm.
this. And being able to walk through it, holding that fear or holding
Yep.
whatever discomfort that might be keeping us from kind of reaching out and being that. I'm going back to the tree, right?
Yes.
Reaching for the potential and allowing the sun to just ripen all of the fruit that's there.
Yeah.
Any
I love it.
last words of wisdom that you would have for people that are listening, Amber?
Nothing at all. I've run out of wisdom.
Thank you so much. It has been incredible just to spend time with you. I am always amazed by you, your journey, and the fact that you just keep saying yes to you.
Perfect. And I just want to say thank you to you. And I appreciate our conversations and all the things that you teach me. And yeah, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. Hey, listener, it's Cynthia. I want to say thank you for joining this incredible expedition of self discovery and leadership growth as a listener of the Who Are You to Lead Anyway podcast. I hope you've enjoyed the tips, tools, insights, and conversations with my remarkable guests so far. If you want to take your leadership journey to new heights, join my newsletter where you'll receive exclusive updates, bonus content, and valuable resources to support your ongoing development as a leader. See the show notes for the newsletter sign up. As a token of my sincere appreciation, I want to offer you a complimentary self discovery workbook designed to raise your awareness around what might be in your way of even greater success. To claim it, simply head over to my website. I'll put that link in the show notes www.cynthiajamesoncoach.ca. Sign up, and your workbook will be delivered right to your inbox. And there is something I would love to ask of you. Your feedback is an incredible gift and is an important part of this community. I really want to know what topics resonate most with you, what guests you'd like to hear from, and how I can serve you better. Your ratings, reviews, thoughts, and feedback will guide me in tailoring future episodes to give you more of what you want and need on your leadership journey. So if you're loving the Who Are You to Lead Anyway podcast, your input means the world to me, and it helps me shape an even more enriching and impactful podcast for you. I would really appreciate your help in spreading the word about the work that we're doing here. Once again, thank you so much for being part of my podcast family and for investing in your leadership growth. Remember, leadership starts with knowing yourself and embracing your unique abilities. Together, let's continue to thrive as authentic and influential leaders. Thank you so much for listening.